how do you know whether something is right or wrong for yourself? So could you address that? What does that mean, to have your yes and your no?
Yeah, well, for me it meant, first of all, being old enough to have some space to learn this. So when I was younger, I had my parents telling me how to behave. I grew up in Texas, so we had to say like, yes ma'am, no ma'am. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of instruction on how to be. So first of all, I had to be older to even get into figuring out what I wanted.
Some people may not have had much opportunity to make decisions because there's somebody in their life that was just telling them what to do all the time. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of times I don't know what I want for whatever reason. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. We help our kids understand, oh, these are boundaries and you need to have some.
Nice.
And give them some practices of making their own decisions. Like, do you want to wear this shirt or this shirt, maybe, for your 5-year-old? So for me, the yeses and nos knowing those was a very interesting practice, and it comes from inside my body, like deep inside my body. And it was like a light bulb moment for me when I was in an energy work session. This lady said, oh, your no's are kind of like when your energy goes wah wah. And I was like, oh yeah, my no's aren't these real firm powerful no, they're just kind of like this slow kind of a decline feeling, like I'd really rather not. And what I've been also connecting through yoga and body movement is like really inhabiting my body and listening to the cues my physical body gives me. If I have a no, sometimes I'll feel like my muscles kind of tighten, or I'll feel a retraction in some form, like I'll feel cool, or my body will actually lean back, or my muscles will tighten, or I'll squint my eyes, and I'll be like, no. So
okay,
it's a retraction.
But when you're doing that, you're actually thinking a question, or
I can be thinking a question, or it could be somebody asking me a question,
and just
or reading an email.
A very subtle feeling that goes with that. So it would be important to pay attention to those really subtle feelings that we all have in our body, but I don't think we're trained very well, at least in our culture, to pay attention to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the way I figured out how to pay attention to it more is to pause. So if somebody asks me a question, I can pause and feel okay in taking a pause. And I can say, let me think about that, can I get back to you? Anything like that, or I can just say, oh wow, let me think about that for a moment in the real-time conversation. And in that moment, when I pause, I can scan my body really quickly. When you get a yes, you might feel like you lean in, or sit a little taller, or feel maybe a warmth, or some twitching in your facial muscles, like you want to smile. Like, all those things can be a yes. That helped me, because I don't always know. And then then there's all the social nuances about, well, I want to be accepted, and I want to be liked, and I want to keep my place in this community, and keep my place in this friendship or this relationship. So there's a social nervous system where we want to fit in, and fitting in can look like camouflage, which can be a good thing. Like predators use it in the wild. Yeah, it's protection. It's self-preservation. But then if it gets out of balance, that's when we start getting away from what's truly what we want for our lives.
We're dealing from that facade or that mask, and we don't even know who we are. Then we have to start discovering a little bit more. Who am I really? Not who does everybody think I am, because that's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's not. And what I've also realized in this practice, when I've been experimenting on myself, is when I start saying more about who I am, some people like it a lot. They're like, oh, well, I know you just a little bit better now, or oh, I didn't know that about you. And it's not always that it's going to be a ruffling feathers or upsetting kind of thing if you talk about what you want or what you don't want, or what you need or what you don't need. It can be actually very joyful too, because